Yeah, okay, thank you. Our last speaker, Oliver Marasigan of DOST FPRDI, represented his research team and presented the study Potential Utilization of Climbing Bamboo Species in the Philippines at the 12th World Bamboo Congress. The study
Very,
determined the physical and mechanical properties of 12 species of climbing bamboo collected from Luzon. It also presented recommendations on the usage of bamboo species like construction, high grade furniture, flooring, paneling, bodies of musical instruments, pulp and paper, and low grade furniture. He emphasized the need to study climbing bamboos because of their economic relevance in the Philippine rural communities where they abound. According to him, studying climbing bamboo's potential uses can also open prospective livelihood opportunities. Friends, please join me in welcoming Oliver Marasigan.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I will be sharing about bamboo, a sustainable greening future this afternoon. But before I share, I will just fix my Zoom.
Oliver is a consultant of bamboo growers, so it would be good to link with him also.
Did you can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, it's
Uh,
fine.
okay. Good afternoon again, everyone. I am Oliver Esmeralda from the Department of Science and Technology, Forest Products Research and Development Institute. And this afternoon, I was tasked to present the potential of the bamboo as a sustainable solution. And I will also present the different bamboo species that have potential to be used as raw materials in manufacturing e-bikes and other transportation materials and other structural materials as well. And the techniques in improving the durability of the bamboo as a material. So before I start my presentation, my slide, uh, I would like first to present to everyone our office. Our office is the Forest Products Research and Development Institute. We are located in the College of Forestry, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. And we are one of the institute branch of the Department of Science and Technology. And we deal with the forest, timber and non-timber as material. For our mandate, we are tasked to conduct research and development on wood and non-wood forest products, transfer technologies, and provide technical assistance, services, and trainings. For our vision, we have a vision of a renowned leader and center of excellence in forest products utilization, research, development, and technology transfer. For our mission to generate, improve, and transfer appropriate technologies and information on efficient utilization of forest-based products to make local industries more competitive in the domestic and global markets and to benefit the general public. The office objectives is to generate scientific knowledge and forest-based materials critical to develop of product technologies and ensure the global competitiveness of environmentally friendly forest-based products and enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of existing forest-based industries and assist in the establishment of new enterprise. So why we promote bamboo as a sustainable materials? First, compared to timber materials, bamboo has an excellent growth and renewability. In fact, it is one of the fast growing plant in the world, or maybe it is the fastest growing plant in the world. You can harvest bamboo as early as 3 years old, depending on the soil and environmental condition of your site. However, in year 1 and 2, you can integrate different agricultural crops like eggplant, sile, or okra, or you can also integrate livestock such as chicken, ducks, and pigs while you are waiting for the harvest of your corn. In year 3, you will notice that your bamboo already have shoots that can be harvested. It is necessary to harvest at least 20 to 30% of the bamboo shoots. Do not worry as it will not affect your bamboo clump. And these shoots, if not harvested, will eventually die since the mother clump cannot support its growth. Moreover, the bamboo has an exponential growth, meaning the more you harvest bamboo, the more it will multiply. If you harvest three bamboo in year 3, expect that it will be doubled in year 4 and year 5. Unlike trees that when you cut it, you need to wait again another 8 or 20 years before you can harvest again. Second, compared to timber, bamboo can absorb more carbon dioxide and release 35% more oxygen compared to timber. Kaya nga po kapag nasa bamboo plantation tayo, I do not know if you also feel it. Pero di ba, ang presko kapag nasa ilalim ka ng kawayan, ang lamig ng hangin. Because it releases more fresh air compared to trees. Third, bamboo is a very versatile materials. It can be used in 1,000 uses. Our imagination is the limit. Who would have thought that one day, the bamboo which we think grass before could be used as raw materials for bike, for example. It is now also used in construction, not only for scaffolding, but also in reinforcement material. The Philippine Textile Research Institute of the DOST also conducted several research, and they also have pageant shows for textile produced from bamboo. In Vietnam, Indonesia, Taiwan, bamboo are widely used as source of food. In Taiwan, they have a technology for a year-round shoot production. In Indonesia and Vietnam, they are continuously developing the fermentation technology of bamboo shoot. If you could see on Facebook Reels, you would see different bamboo uses and processes. Bamboo is a very versatile materials and our imagination is the limit. Fourth, bamboo is not only good in terms of carbon sequestration and oxygen production, it also helps in soil and water conservation. Bamboo can be used to stabilize soil, prevent soil erosion, and improve water retention. However, planting of bamboo alongside of the river have proper spacing and technique. You cannot plant bamboo very close to the river since it will become the main block of river during storms. Thus, proper spacing and proper planting technique is necessary in planting bamboo in riverside. And fifth, bamboo provide economic opportunity to community. Bamboo cultivation can provide income for the farmers and community, as we have witnessed in the project of Sir Brian. Actually, bamboo have two types. First type is the monopodial, or this is the running type. This thin rhizome which extend horizontally for a long distance. Roots grow on the nodes of the rhizome and bamboo stem grows in a scattered state. Ito po yung nakikita natin palagi sa mga palabas ni Jackie Chan noon na tumatalon-talon siya. Those are monopodial bamboo or running bamboo. These are common in Southeast Asia, Bangladesh, India, Burma, Thailand, Southern China, and Japan. The most common species of bamboo that we can see here in the Philippines is the sympodial bamboo or the clamping. They have longer petioles which form false rhizome, and the bamboo species grow in a clamping pattern. Kumbaga, sama-sama po sila kung tumubo. That is the most common type of bamboo that we can see here in the Philippines. In terms of Philippine bamboo industry, in 2016, it was reported that the Philippines already have more than 74 species of bamboo. Maybe it's already 100 plus because of other introduced species. We have 53 species of erect bamboos, 21 are climbing bamboo. And in 2020, we rank as one of the top 10 bamboo exporter globally. The majority of our export, including kitchenwares and bamboo poles. So we can see in this figure, kita natin, ang laki ng export ng China. They can go in different countries. However, for the Philippines, majority of our export goes to Japan. But still, we are in the top 10 exporting of bamboo products. So in terms of propagation, bamboo can be propagated in different ways. Number one, you can propagate it with seed. However, ang seed po ng bamboo can only collected after 100 years. Hindi po siya kagaya ng mangga or ng ibang fruit trees that can be harvested yung fruits every year. Sa kawayan, you need to wait until 100 or 120 years bago siya magkaroon ng seeds. Ang problem din sa kanya, kapag siya nagkaroon ng seed, lahat po ng clump ng kawayan will eventually die. Kasi nilabas niya na po lahat ng energy niya to produce that seed. And because of that hindrance, other techniques are developed. We can also propagate bamboo through branch cutting, as mentioned by Brian earlier. Also, we can propagate bamboo through crown cuttings, yung mga katawan niya. We can also do rhizome cutting or yung offset. Tatanggalin mo po mismo sa lupa yung kawayan and then ita-transfer mo. And now there's a growing study on early layering of bamboo. Para kang nagmamarketing po ngayon dito sa kawayan. Those are the ways that we can propagate bamboo. And before we go to the different species of bamboo that can be used for different application, let's have a first discuss yung mga parts ng bamboo. Since ito po yung madidiscuss natin mamaya. Notice the joint or the bump on the bamboo stalk where the segment connect. It's like the point where branches or leaves might grow from the stalk. Internode length is the distance between the node or the joints segment on the bamboo stalk. And cam wall thickness is referred to how thick the bamboo stalk is when you cut it open. So yun po yung mga titingnan po natin ngayon. And it has a factor in terms of determining what uses can be do on that species. First, let's discuss the kawayan tinik or the Bambusa spinosa. Dati ang kanya pong pangalan is Bambusa bluminiana, but it was changed to Bambusa spinosa. This is a sympodial type of bamboo. Ang length po niya is 15 to 25 meters. Meron siyang diameter na 6 to 10 cm. Internode length niya, yung haba ng distance between two nodes ay 25 to 50 cm. And medyo makapal po yung kawayan na to. Meron po siyang maximum range ng thickness ng 3 cm. So pwede po natin siyang i-propagate through branch cutting or ear layering. Pwede rin po siya sa culm cutting. And ang suggested po natin, recommended planting spacing for this kind of bamboo is 7 by 7 meters. Since ito po ay majority hina-harvest, kailangan po magkasya yung truck or elf dun sa plantation po natin. So yung uses niya, young shoot are eaten as vegetables. Culms can be used for construction, furniture, concrete reinforcement, engineered bamboo, handicrafts, textiles, and even bamboo bikes as well. Next is the giant bamboo. These are the two popular species of bamboo in the Philippines, or the Dendrocalamus asper. It is also a sympodial type of bamboo with a maximum height of 30 meters. It has a culm diameter of 8 to 20 centimeter, internode length of 10 to 50, and yung culm thickness niya is makapal din up to 3.6 centimeter. It can be propagated through branch, culm cutting, ear layering, and the DNR ERDB already developed protocols on tissue culture of giant bamboo. The plantation spacing for this bamboo is 7 by 7 or 10 by 10, depending on how large the diameter of your bamboo is. And then it can be used for building materials for houses and bridges. Culm can also be used for construction, furniture, reinforcement, engineered bamboo, and handicrafts. Next is the bolo or the Gigantocloa levis. This is a sympodial type of bamboo with a maximum height of 20 meters. The culm diameter can reach up to 10 centimeter. And the culm wall thickness is very thin compared to Tinik and Giant, only have a 1.2 centimeter. Can be propagated through branch, culm, and rhizome. And ang plantation spacing po niya recommended is 7 by 7 meters. It can be used for construction also, scaffolding, fish pen, basketry, and furniture. It can also be used as raw materials for engineered bamboo and textile production. And also, yung shoots niya are edible. Next is the bayog or the Bambusa meriliana. It's also a sympodial type of bamboo. It has a culm length of 20 meters, culm diameter of 12 cm, and culm wall thickness of 4 cm. Ito po yung mga solid type na kawayan. Kung kakat niyo po ito, makita niyo, napakaliit lang ng butas niya. Kaya ito rin siguro yung reason ni Sir Brian why he used it earlier as part of the bambike. So the propagation technique for this bamboo is culm, branch, and ear layering. And the plantation spacing for this type of bamboo is recommended is 5 or 7 by 7 meters. Can be used for construction, preferably for furniture making. Can also be used in making ropes, and it's also suitable for pulp and paper production. Next is the kawayang kiling or the Bambusa vulgaris. These are the common species of bamboo can be seen in the near riversides. It is a sympodial type of bamboo with a length of 20 meters. Yung culm diameter niya is around 10 centimeter. And yung culm thickness niya is medyo manipis siya, 0.15 centimeter lang. It can be propagated through rhizome, culm, branch, and ear layering. And if you will use this for plantation, recommended spacing po natin dito is 5 or 7 by 7 meters. Mostly, itong kawayang kiling is used for agricultural components, yung mga fencing and props or yung mga stand ng mga gulay. It can be used as raw materials for also textile, but not for construction due to its susceptibility to powder post beetle. Next is the buho. This is Stachyum lumampao, also a sympodial type of bamboo. It has a maximum height of 15 meter. Culm diameter po niya is 8 cm and culm wall thickness po niya is 1 cm. terms of propagation, it can be propagated through seeds. Ang trivia po dito, ang buho po kahit magmulaklak siya, mag-produce po siya ng seed, hindi po namamatay ang buho kasi iba po yung characteristics ng kawain po na ito. And also produced through rhizome, calm propagation with 2-node. And spacing po for this kind of species ay 3 or 5 by 5 meters. Usually used as raw materials for making bamboo mats or yung sawali po, used in housing. This can also be used as raw materials for handicrafts, musical instrument, plywood panels, and pulp and paper. Next po is the kawayan dilaw or the Bambusa vulgaris, Barus striata. It is also a sympodial type of bamboo, mostly used for ornamental purposes. It has a culm length of 12 meters, a culm diameter of 10 cm, and culm thickness of 0.8 cm. It can be propagated through culm propagation and branch and rhizome. Recommended spacing for this species if will be used for plantation is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 meters. Commonly used as ornamental bamboo. However, it can be used as raw materials for handicrafts, fences, and also kitchenwares. Next is one of the most popular bamboo at this era, the iron bamboo or the I would like to correct the scientific name. It is not Bambusa vulgaris, but Guadua angustifolia. This is a monopodial or running type of bamboo. It came from Colombia. It has a culm height of 30 meters, a culm diameter of 9 cm, and a culm thickness of 2.5 cm. Yung propagation technique niya can be used as culm and branch propagation or tissue culture. And spacing for this kind of bamboo is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 meters. It is one of the highest quality species in tropical South America. And in culm na grown in the Philippines can be used in construction such as scaffolding, beams, posts, flooring, and trusses. And it can also be used as a raw material for engineered bamboo. Ika nga po nilang, kapag kinain daw po ito ng anay, yung anay po ang aayaw dahil sa tigas po ng kawain na ito. Kidding aside, let's continue. Next is the solid bamboo or the Dendrocalamus strictus. It originated from India. It's also a sympodial type of bamboo with a height of 20 meters. Yung culm diameter po niya max is 12.5 centimeters. And yung culm wall thickness niya is solid at base, but towards the top portion, ang thickness po nun ay lumalaro po ng 0.6 to 1.0 cm. It can be propagated through culm or rhizome. Yung plantation spacing po niya is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 meters. In India, this species is mainly used for construction. And yung culm grown in the Philippines can be used in construction such as scaffolding, beams, posts, flooring, and trusses. It can also be used as raw materials for engineered bamboo. Trivia lang po for iron bamboo and solid bamboo, when you planted it in a cold area or mataas po yung elevation, high yung relative humidity, nagiging punggok po yung kawayan po na ito. So maganda po siya sa mga low elevation area. As we have observed in Baguio, maninipis lang po yung kawayan ng iron and solid bamboo. Pero pag tinanim po yan sa Laguna, malalaki po yung kanilang sizes. Next is the Kayali or the Gigantocloa ater. It's a sympodial type of bamboo with a maximum height of 25 meters. It can be grown up to 10 centimeter in diameter and a culm thickness of 0.8 cm. Can be propagated through culm and rhizome cutting and also branch cutting. The plantation spacing for this species is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 meters. Can be used as building materials, furniture, handicrafts, musical instrument, chopsticks, and also toothpicks. Third is the Thailand bamboo or the Thyrsostochys siamensis. Ito po yung kalimitang ginagamit na ornamental bamboo or yung pole bamboo, yung kanya pong market name. It has a culm height of 14 cm and a culm diameter of 7.5 cm. Yung culm wall thickness po niya is solid at base but towards the top, nagkakaroon po siya ng 0.71 culm wall. Can be propagated through rhizome cutting and can also try to propagate using culm wall cutting, culm propagation. The plantation spacing for this is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 meters. Culms are used for house construction such as flooring and scaffolding, raw material for pulp and paper, furniture and handicrafts. Young shoots are as vegetable, a popular ornamental plant, and also planted in rows as windbreaks. Next is the buhong dila or the Schistostalchium brachicladum. is a sympodial type of bamboo. Ito po ay lumalaki up to 15 meters with a culm diameter of 10 cm and a culmal thickness of 3 to 5 mm. Can be propagated through seeds, rhizome, or culm cutting. Ang spacing po niya is 3 by 3 or 5 by 5 spacing, and yung can be cultivated for ornamental purposes. It can be used as an alternative raw materials to green buho. Next po is the black bamboo or the Gigantocloa atroviolacea, or ito po ay sympodial type din po ng bamboo with a height of 15 meters with culm diameter of 8 cm maximum and a culmal thickness of 0.8 cm. Can be propagated through rhizome or culm cutting. Ang plantation spacing recommended is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 spacing meters. It can be used to make bamboo musical instrument like angklung, kalung, gabang, and selempung, handicrafts and furniture industries. Because of peculiar blackish culms, it is highly prized for landscaping. In fact, as a trivia lang po sa everyone, the FPRDI have developed many bamboo musical instruments using this bamboo. Maganda po yung kanyang tunog. Next is the pink bamboo or the Gigantocloa kuring. It is also a sympodial type of bamboo with a maximum height of 13 meters and culm diameter of 7 cm and a culmal thickness of 1 cm. It can be propagated through culm and rhizome. And ang recommended spacing po niya if be used for plantation is 5 by 5 and 7 by 7 meters. Used in Indonesia for building purposes and in traditional handicrafts. In the Philippines, it is cultivated mainly as an ornamental bamboo. However, it can be used as raw materials for handicrafts, furniture, and kitchenwares. Next po is the botong or the Dendrocalamus latiflorus. It's also a sympodial type of bamboo with a height of 25 meter, culm diameter of 20 cm, culmal thickness of 3 cm, can be propagated through rhizome and culm cutting. Ang recommended spacing po niya is 7 by 7 meters. Mature culms are used for water pipes to make rafts for fishing, weaving basket, and making pulp and paper. Leaves are used for making hats, ropes, and boats, and as material for packing. Next po is Dilaak or the Bambusa philippinensis. This is one of the native erect bamboo species in the Philippines. This is commonly used in Davao para pangtayo po ng mga saging. It is also a sympodial type of bamboo with a height of 20 meters, culm diameter of 6.60 centimeters, and a culmal thickness of 8 cm. It can be propagated through culm or branch propagation. Ang plantation spacing po niya is 5 by 5 or 7 by 7 meters. Widely used as a banana props in Davao. Can also be used as raw materials for handicrafts, pulp and paper, sticks, and kitchenwares. Now we know all of the bamboo species that can be used as raw materials, but the problem is when are you going to harvest it? So in harvesting bamboo, proper timing is important. I hope this figure will help us understand when to harvest bamboo. Based on this figure, you must not harvest bamboo during March and April or summer, since during this time, the starch content is high. It is prone to insect attack and the material need to be treated with insecticide. On the other hand, for the month of May, June, July, and August, we can harvest bamboo, but it is limited. Since these months are rainy season, we could experience problem in accessibility, storage, and we could potentially damage the emerging shoots. On the other hand, for the month of September, October, November, December, January, and February, during this month, you could harvest bamboo since the starch content is very low. The bamboo is not prone to fungal attack, but still the material is still needed to be treated with fungicide. However, if you have a treatment facility and your plantation have a proper layout, the month you harvested will not be a problem since you can treat your bamboo right away. Speaking of bamboo treatment, here are some of the techniques our institute developed, bamboo preservation techniques. These methods are used to treat bamboo, enhancing its durability and resistance to pests, moisture, and decay. These are some of the traditional bamboo preservation technique. Number one is the bamboo drying. It can be dried using kiln drying, air drying, and sun drying. For kiln drying, it will take 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the size and moisture content of your bamboo. If you will use sun drying, it will take 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the weather condition and the thickness of the bamboo. And for air drying, it will take 4 to 6 weeks. Air drying is less controlled than kiln or sun drying, but can be effective if bamboo is well spaced and the environment is suitable. Other natural treatment is the water soaking. In this technique, you will submerge the freshly cut bamboo in water for a month. Soaking helps remove the starch that attract pests and fungi, increasing the bamboo resistance to decay. And studies have shown that soaking bamboo in a salt water enhances its durability and strength properties. The other type of natural preservation technique is exposing the bamboo to smoke for a duration of 3 to 1 month. This process reduces the moisture content, repels pests, and enhance the bamboo durability. Additionally, smoking naturally changes the bamboo color. If you will see in the right picture, ito po yung mga product ng smoking technique. The other one emerging technique is the thermal modification. This process involves heating the bamboo to temperature between 160 degree and 220 degree in a controlled environment. It improves the durability and dimensional stability of the bamboo. If you could visit the tallest bamboo structure in Pangasinan, the bamboo used in that statues are thermally modified bamboo. Kaya po tumatagal siya ng ganun katagal, exposed in weather. Next po is the chemical treatment. You can apply this through soaking, brushing, and spraying. This method involves applying chemical preservation to bamboo to protect it from pests, fungi, and decay. And in the Philippines, boric and borax acid are the most commonly used chemicals due to their effectiveness and affordability. Next po is the high pressure sap displacement method. It forces sap out of the freshly felled bamboo by introducing a waterborne preservative under pressure through a cup fitted to end of the pole. This process ensures deep penetration of preservative into the bamboo cellular structure, significantly extending the service life of the pole. As I have mentioned earlier, our institute provides assistance and training. These are some of the bamboo training freely given by our institute. We have wood and non-wood forest product preservation and treatment. You can access this through our Facebook page. We also have training on charcoal briquetting technology. We also have training on bamboo crafts making, furnitures, engineered bamboo. We also have that. Also basic finishing techniques for bamboo. We also have training on making bamboo soap, hand soap, using carbon activated charcoal. If you are interested to our technology, you can connect with us and discover more about our innovation. Visit us at our office located at College of Forestry, College Los Baños, Laguna, or you can contact us via email at info@fprdi.dos.gov.ph. For inquiries, you can also reach us through our number, or you can message us through our Facebook at DOST FPRDI. Again, I am Oliver S. Marasigan from the Department of Science and Technology, Forest Products Research and Development Institute. Again, Bambuhay.
Thank you, Oliver. Yes. Wow. Ang dami palang mga different species of bamboos. Can I ask the first question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, kasi may mga exotic species then, no, that were introduced.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the effect of the exotic species on our biodiversity? Meron ba?
Actually, ma'am, for the fact, yung giant bamboo is not a native species here in our country. Pero dahil sa tagal niya na pong nakatanim sa atin, they are now being called as naturalized bamboo, or parang kumbaga po sa ibang bansa nag-migrate sa atin. Na-naturalize na siya. So yung mga ng biodiversity sa kanya, hindi na po ganoon kataas yung wala nang effect sa biodiversity. Ang lang po ngayon, ang concern lang po ngayon is the introduction of other exotic species. For example po is the iron bamboo, which is now being planted in Mindanao. Ang dami pong plantation ngayon ng iron bamboo in Mindanao. Ang problem sa kanya kasi hindi siya nako-controlled eh. Kasi running type of bamboo to. Pwede siyang tumubo din after some time tumubo siya sa ganyan. And it can crouch dun sa mga forested areas and private lands. Unlike po yung mga clamping bamboos, we can control kasi. We can control the growth of that clamping kasi hindi siya naghihiwa-hiwalay eh. So in terms of the effect of the bamboo as in the biodiversity using the exotic species, kailangan lang po siguro natin maging maingat sa pagpili po ng species na gagamitin. Hindi kasi pwede tayo magtanim ng basta-basta dahil bamboo yan, itatanim na natin. Remember na kailangan din po natin maging responsible on kung ano po yung tinatanim po natin.
Yeah, but we have native species of bamboo that can be used like iron. I mean, yung as strong as iron, parang ganyan, no? Meron naman.
Meron naman, ma'am. Actually, mas matibay pa po yung Bambusa bulleminiana or yung kawayan tinik kumpara ko sa iron bamboo. According to our study, mas matibay pa po yung kawayan tinik sa iron bamboo. Kaya talagang the best po talaga ang kawayan tinik natin sa Pilipinas. That's why other countries are interested in collaborating with our office in exploring using the kawayan tinik in their country kasi maganda talaga po ang kawayan tinik. As mentioned by Brian, di man po papasa ang bambike sa international standard kung hindi po maganda ang raw materials niya.
Okay. Are there other questions from our participants?
We have raised hand. It's Nina again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Oliver.
Yes, ma'am.
The bamboo is parang tubular, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Can it be flattened to be flooring or tables? Kasi years ago, we had bamboo tables sa Environmental Studies Institute sa Miriam College. Pero
Yes.
hindi flat kasi yung surface. So, mahirap. We had to put a pad, no, to write the paper on. To put the paper on. So, nafa-flatten na ba? Meron na ba tayong technique na ganon?
Ma'am, regarding po dyan sa question niyo, meron po kaming mga technologies in our office in which we use bamboo as raw materials for furniture. In fact, ewan ko kung narinig niyo na po or nabasa niyo na po yung article about the Silyang Pinoy. It is a multi-use bamboo furniture for school desks. So doon, ma'am, na-flatten na po natin yung kawayan. Wala na po tayo ngayong problem. Hindi na po natin kailangan magdala ng pad for us to be able to write properly.
Oo.
Kasi na-flatten na po natin yung kawayan. And if you want to learn more about this, ma'am, you can inquire in our office and we could provide training if you need one.
Sayang because I'm having my house repaired and our flooring changed. So I was thinking, what if I had used na lang bamboo as flooring?
Yes, ma'am.
Pero
Actually,
is that commercially available already? Would I have had an easy time accessing bamboo flooring?
Actually, ma'am, meron na tayong mga local manufacturers po ng bamboo flooring. Meron tayo sa Luzon. We have contacts in Luzon. Meron din po tayo sa Visayas and also Mindanao. And actually, one of the biggest bamboo manufacturer po ngayon natin na ini-establish ay nasa Mindanao. Kung alam niyo po yung company na Rhizome, they are now one of the biggest bamboo manufacturing na company po ngayon na nag-emerge. Pero dito po sa Laguna, Manila, meron po tayong mga small scale na bamboo manufacturer po ng mga bamboo flooring. And if you want to connect with them, we can help you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you rin, ma'am.
Any other raised hands? Meron pa ba, Marie?
Di ko makita eh. Nahanap ko pa, wait.
Yeah, Marie Beth?
None so far po.
Well, if not, then baka let's look for, baka yung may questions pa sa kanina naiwan sa other speakers kung wala na sa ngayon. I can't.
Ang sabi dito isang question, how old are the bamboos that can be used in manufacturing products? I think that was tackled, no? But
Yes.
The bamboos.
Actually, ma'am, we can harvest po ang bamboo as early as 3 years old. Pero mas better po ay 4 to 5 years old yung ating pong ginagamit for manufacturing. And I would like also to share, ma'am, yung information about the bill on bamboo.
Good, yeah.
Ito po ay authored by Congressman Alba ng Mindanao. Ito po is the Act integrating bamboo as a sustainable materials for built environment. Ito po ay kapartner po kami dito ni Congressman Alba together with DTI, Bureau of Philippine Standard, sa pagdevelop po ngayon ng standard on incorporating bamboo in our structural code. Kasi limitation po ngayon yan ng kawayan hindi siya kasama sa structural code. Only wood is included in the structural code. Kaya hindi po siya magamit for housing. Kaya wino-work out pa rin po namin yan with Congressman Alba to develop that bill. And I would like to share to everyone po, meron po kami ngayong mga products, bamboo tea. If you want to taste it, pwede po kayong bumisit sa office namin. Bamboo tea, bamboo...
Tea?
Yes, ma'am. Meron kaming bamboo tea, bamboo beer. We have
Beer?
bamboo charcoal, bamboo pellets for fuel. Meron po kaming ganong technology. And we are also now exploring bamboo for reinforcement in concrete to change the steel para po kawayan, maging greener po yung ating building. And we also have other, yung mga pabango made from bamboo. We also have that product.
Wow.
We have a showroom in our office. If you have time, you can visit us in our office. So makita nyo rin po yung mga products na ginagawa po ng department namin to help increase the awareness and the products of bamboo.
Wow, we will invite you for our summit.
Yeah.
You can have a booth.
In that bamboo
Perfume. I can't get over it. Perfume.
Yes, ma'am. Yung mga incense, meron
Parang
din kami
sandalwood.
develop ngayon yan, ma'am. Mga incense
I
made
have a
from bamboo.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. In the bamboo bill, do you prioritize native species? Kasi dapat siguro talaga
Yes, ma'am. Actually,
oo.
kawayan, tinik, and giant bamboo po yung ipaprioritize po doon. Kasi yan po talaga yung widely used sa atin po ngayon.
Pero yung giant bamboo, hindi yun yung ano, no? Iron bamboo.
Hindi siya yan, ma'am. Iba po yan. Iba po.
Okay.
How many endemic bamboo species do we have?
In terms of endemicity, ma'am, parang ang lagi lang pong na-mention, ma'am, is the laak and the kawayang kiling. Yung iba kasi, ma'am, is naturalized eh. And most of our native species po ay mga climbing bamboo. That is why we also encouraging to shift the focus po dun sa climbing bamboo naman. Kasi most of the world po ngayon kasi, other countries, baliw na baliw po sila ngayon sa erect bamboo. But also, yung climbing bamboo, meron din po siyang potential to be used as raw materials. Actually, sa Abra nga po, ginagamit po siya in making bags. Mga handle ng bags, mga handicrafts. Ang tawag po sa kanilang kawayan ay puser. Pero hindi po ito yung gumagamit, ma'am. Ito po. Ito lang talaga yung common name niya. Ito po yung sikat po na kawayan sa Abra na climbing bag.
Okay.
How many bamboo growers do we have? Talagang parang dumadami no?
Yes, ma'am. Because of the promotion of bamboo. Ang dami rin kasi, ma'am, bill na sumusupport ngayon sa bamboo. And lahat po ngayon ng government offices, DNR, DOST, may kanya-kanya po ngayon program on bamboo. Kasi nga po, we are promoting bamboo as alternative raw materials to timber. Kasi compared sa timber, mas sustainable and renewable po itong kawayan.
Yeah.
In terms of number of bamboo growers, ma'am, si DNR, ERDB, meron po silang data. Sa amin kasi, ma'am, meron kaming data is the processor yung gumagawa na, since ang aming pong task is to develop products and technologies po on bamboo manufacturing.
Yeah. So, ang ganda ng potential. Yeah. Dr. G.
Yeah. Some time ago, I wanted to use bamboo as parang hedge instead of a fence, instead of concrete fence. Ang nire-recommend nung architect or landscaper, Japanese bamboo. Baka you should promote the use of more native species. Diba sa mga malls, for example, dito sa UP Town, ang kanilang hedge is Japanese bamboo. Don't we have a similar species na decorative also, pero hindi matinik, like kawayang tinik?
Yes.
As pretty, yung thin. Obviously, it's not being native species are not being promoted. It's more the exotic species that are being promoted for landscaping.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you come on promoting more our native species?
Actually, ma'am,
Meron ba?
in terms of fencing and beauty, pwede po natin gamitin dyan yung buhong dilaw, kawayang
Oo nga
dilaw,
eh.
buhong green. Kasi ma'am, yun talaga, good for fencing yan. Hindi yan matinik, hindi po yan magulo. Ano lang yan, ma'am, malinis. Kaya maganda siya for fencing, ma'am. If you are looking for bamboo, good for fencing sa mga buildings, you can use buhong dilaw, buhong green, and yung kawayang dilaw. Sa kawayang dilaw lang, ma'am, you need to contain it sa maliit na pot para hindi po siya lumaki na malaking malaki. So, kailangan lang po siyang i-contain sa pot. Pero yung buhong dilaw at saka buhong green, wala po kayong magiging problema doon kahit itanim niyo po siya sa diretsa sa lupa. Kasi hindi po siya ganun kalalaking kawayan. And aesthetically, maganda rin po yung dalawang kawayan po na yan.
Yeah, but obviously the landscapers are not promoting it.
Yes, ma'am.
Baka you should work on them.
Noted on that, ma'am. Sige po.
Okay. Thank
Anyone
you.
else?
Thank you rin, ma'am.
Sa Facebook page natin, meron bang mga questions? Anna, Vince?
None so far, Miss.
Okay. Sige, while waiting for others to think of their questions, we'd like to invite everyone to visit our Ako Ang Bukas website. You will learn that we have a calculator that will measure your carbon footprint, and you will also find ways on how to mitigate or improve your lifestyle so that you lower your carbon footprint. Okay, and we will also be posting those who want to become members of Green Convergence. We will be posting the link. So you will have a link to the application form. And we would like to announce that this August 28 and 29, we will have the State of Nature Assessment. This is an annual event organized by Green Convergence. And this will be done at the Bulwagang Kanlahi, Interlock City. There's no registration fee. We will be talking about climate change and its threat to sustainability, the challenges it has on sustainability. So you will hear about the issues maybe in Region 3, and there will also be a segment where we will talk about solutions. So everyone interested, you can come and join us on August 28 to 29 at the Bulwagan Kanlahi, Interlock City. Okay. So are there more questions? I think we still have Mr. Ira.
Yes. May I?
Yes, oh, good.
Yeah, this is for Ira. Actually, I'm interested if there are designs already how to transform our major roads to include bikers. Like, for example, in Korea, I think they made the middle, yung pinakagitna ng roads, they made it into a bike lane. And they made the roof tops, yung roof nung bike lane na yon, for solar panels. And in Malaysia, mostly, it's just like in Canada. Nasa gilid, and it's lined with trees. Ganon. So I'm really interested if there is already a design at least that we can adopt, for example, for Commonwealth, for EDSA, and so on.
Yep. Thank you for your interest in infrastructure design. So to answer your question, yes, there are already international standards that are very much applicable to be implemented here in the Philippines. In fact, during the time that we were part of Pasig City's transport department, we used a lot of those designs in introducing bike infrastructure in Pasig City. If you look at Quezon City, they also have actually pretty much what you've given as an example. They have bike infrastructure in the middle of the road. So if you go to BIR Road or Agham Road, I think you would see that their bike infrastructure is in the middle of the road. And if you go to other cities like Makati, you would also see that they have bidirectional bidirectional bike lanes. So yes, there are a lot of international standards that we can follow, but it's also very exciting to see that as cities design their own bike infrastructure with their constituencies in mind, they've also created different types of applications that would be more responsive to the needs of their constituents and those that pass through their cities. In Outmobility, we also developed several guidebooks that could help local government units design their own bike and transport infrastructure. I've shared it in the link. You can download it under LG Resources. And then you can download our guides for Metro Naga, Metro Cebu, and even our mobility guidebook for local governments in Asia.
Wow. Is there a model city that's being developed to have this talagang sustainable, what they call sustainable mobility?
Well, in all honesty, we are still a ways to go. As I mentioned earlier, while we are ahead of our Asian neighbors in terms of bike infrastructure, we're still a ways to go. However, there are cities like Quezon City that's coming up with a lot of really exciting programs that not only promote active transportation by creating wide, protected Class 2 and Class 1 bike lanes, but also introducing policies that would really promote not just active transportation, which is biking and walking, but also a really good system of public transportation. So these two initiatives are ways to reduce car dependence. So I'd like to take note that while I'm a bike commuter and while I promote use of less cars, we are not against cars. What we are against is a level of car dependence that we are experiencing right now. And when you look at projects such as those being implemented in Quezon City for both active and public transportation, they're coming closer and closer to reducing car dependence and allowing people to experience cities firsthand and really be able to enjoy going around our cities, seeing our friends, and being able to go to work.
Yeah, parang follow up. Like for example,
Sure.
in Singapore,
You're breaking.
I noticed there are bikes for hire. So they just rent the bike to go to one point, like to go to the MRT, for example. And there's a sort of a card to pick that. Like for example, when it's difficult to bring it up to the train station. So if we can have bikes for hire that you can rent from one, for example, from your condo to the LRT station, it would be better. So
yes,
naka-rent siya.
Right. So in transport planning, that's what you're describing is what we actually call first mile, last mile solutions. These are transportation options that you take to get to a mode of transportation or to get from a mode of transportation to your home. So we have the beginnings of this already. Prior to the pandemic, the city of Pasig already had a bike share program that the city has located very near transit stops. Unfortunately, the city had to reallocate those bikes and repurpose those bikes during the pandemic because the government shut down public transportation. We needed to hand over bikes to frontliners. However, if you go to BGC and Makati and and I'm not sure where else they're available, you have Mover, that's MOOVR, where you can rent manual bikes, electric bikes, and electric scooters to help you get around the city. We are currently trying to convince Ayala Land, the company that's managing BGC and Makati, to allow the interconnection between the two locations, as you've mentioned, to really increase dependence on these efficient modes of transportation. So we're also working with estate managers such as that. Uh, uh, at the same time, we're also talking to our rail stations, to our rail options, no, like LRT1, that's very supportive of active transportation. So for now, because of limited trains, they do allow trifolds or folding bikes. I'll show you mine. Hold on, let me show you mine. So that's a folding bike that I use. And for LRT1, they allow and they welcome that on board their trains. No? And little by little, they're also equipping their train stations with secure bike parking to make people comfortable to leave their bikes in one station, take the train, and then continue on board or onwards with their journey, and then come back for their bikes and their way home.
Yeah, so talagang revolutionary system.
Yes, you really need to shift the focus of government. No? So sometimes that's why we also put a lot of effort in working with local government units because they're really faster in terms of changing policy and adapting to the needs of their constituents. So together with local government units, the private sector is also very active in recognizing the needs or recognizing the need to shift promoting modes of transportation. Of course, you've got malls like SM that has very safe bike parking across all of their malls. So the private sector, together with the local government units, are really doing a lot of work in order to promote, other modes of transportation. Of course, recently we've seen that Ayala Avenue since September of last year has already introduced car free, which means that Ayala Avenue, Paseo de Rojas, and Makati Avenue are closed to vehicular traffic every Sunday mornings to promote, giving back our streets to people, but also reducing carbon emissions during those hours. And in so doing, they've inspired other places like Manila and Quezon City to also have their own car-free area. So together with the local governments, private institutions, there really are a lot of work and we hope that because of all of this, the national government and other regional bodies are also pressured to follow suit.
Okay. About kay Oliver, is DOST doing anything to really promote yung use of bamboo for bicycles?
Yes, ma'am. We have other technologies in which we partner with other bamboo manufacturing. For instance, the Cardona multi-purpose bamboo manufacturing. Tinutulungan namin sila, ma'am, in how to polish their bamboo slats, in which they are selling it to Sir Brian, as they have mentioned to me. So meron din po kaming mga initiative on how to improve bamboo strength para mas mapatibay po natin yung kawayan, para magamit po siya in many application. So meron naman po kaming mga program on that, ma'am, and we are now currently developing a program on bamboo as used for sports. No, po pwede siyang gamitin for skateboards. Meron na pong gumagawa ngayon bamboo skateboards, bamboo bike, bamboo raketa ng badminton, and yung other sports equipment.
Okay, good. All right. Wow, productive afternoon. So I think we can now go to our closing segment. Now have our closing remarks, and this will be given by our favorite convener of Green Convergence and the mother of environmental education, Dr. Angelina Galang.
Thank you, Tessa, for your kind but undeserved introduction. Well, I don't know if I need to say anything more. I think everybody will agree that this has been not only a very informative afternoon, but a very inspiring one. Our young men, our speakers, have been very positive, and they seem to exude a can-do attitude when the challenges, the questions are being tossed to them. They have they lead us to the direction where they think their own plans and the country's trajectory can improve. So the challenges in the bike lanes, in the system for effecting a more incentivized biking population. Merong si Oliver has the answers. He's working with government to incentivize more biking. Si Brian looks at the different possibilities for increasing the use of bamboo for bikes. And our last speaker naman has given us the wide array of possibilities for using bamboo in our daily lives and for various uses. Of course, we are an environmental coalition, and our main concern is environmental and the use of bamboo, improving the whole ecosystem for urban mobility through biking is our concern. And I think our speakers have shown that the challenges can be hurdled. And they are being hurdled by the private sector participation, laws in Congress. Well, as Brian pointed out, execution is really crucial. So we just have to encourage people as private sectors. I wish I were younger and I would use bikes, but not now. Although I was very clumsy and I never could really be a good biker, but young people are more more flexible, more adept. So we know that biking, bamboos are really good for the environment. So let us do our share in promoting and encouraging their use. But a very nice eye-opener is that it has also been very good socially, because they give employment, they give livelihood, and of course, economically, by using our native resources, we can give more, we can improve the lives of people economically. Well, I think as our sessions have shown, when we go into something ecologically, we also improve things socially and economically. So this has been another really uplifting Kamayan session. And we thank our speakers for taking time to give us their knowledge and expertise and inspiration. Thank you very much.
Yes.
See you in the next Kamayan.
Right, nako. Big hand to all our speakers, no? It was really a very inspiring session. And we've seen the potential of our native product, which is the bamboo, which is sustainable, versatile, environment friendly. Nako. It can foster circular economy, nature-based solutions, livelihood. Lahat ng gusto nating mangyari sa Pilipinas ang pwedeng gawin itong bamboo na to industry. So we'd like to thank our speakers then talaga. Thank you, Dr. Galang, for your inspiring closing then. We really hope something happens with our Kamayan. We'd like to thank our resource speakers, Ira, Brian, and
Oliver.
Oliver. Yes, talagang with the three of you, you can really inspire, especially the youth, no, to change their mindset and on our paradigm on the development so that we will last yung ating longer yung ating species as a mankind. Pero but most yung talagang a good future for the next generation. Thank you to everyone. Thank you. And this will be for on our part, so Green Convergence. Of course, we will help disseminate this information. We have our media officer who will edit this and hopefully make this more accessible to the public. And we will continue the conversation when we have our Philippine Environment Summit this February, which will be held in Iloilo. So we go from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao to really influence our decision makers and influence the youth and everyone, even the public, so that we will really enjoy a good environment here in our Philippines. So maraming salamat to all. We'd like to thank everyone. That will be the third Friday of
September.
September
20, 2024.
September 20, 2024. We'll see you again. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.